This sounds very incredible, but it is actually a true story. Want to be careful. This is a sort of what if story. So, what happened? Well, there's always been rumors of the government possibly acting against Scientology. And if you read Going Clear, a very good book, but flawed book, yes, this is true. And Tom Cruise was the center of it. So, what was the plan? Well, apparently, the FBI did in the early 2010s have a plan to get to the gold base where the leader, David Miscavige, was. And the FBI did think seriously that he might run off and Tom Cruise might get into his, I guess, jet or plane or helicopter or whatever and try to take off and try to get to some foreign country and now create all kinds of diplomatic international incidents. So the question would be, how do we take care of Tom Cruise? They weren't planning, to kill him, but they were thinking like, I don't know. Tom has a license. He can pilot many planes. How are we going to do this? Well, unfortunately, at the last minute, they stopped the operation. But why? Why did this happen? Well, again, it is a Tom Cruise answer. So Tom Cruise is the center of this whole thing. Well, essentially, what happened is on the basis of testimony by John Brusso, as well as Mike Rinder and many other people, they had documented cases of slave labor. And those were the strongest cases to bring against Scientology because at Gold Base, as well as other places, Miscavige employs slave labor. So they had pretty credible witnesses and testimony. So the two FBI agents were building the case. However, this is where it gets really weird and tricky. Why is Brousseau so important? Well, Brousseau is important because he worked closely with, you guessed it, Tom Cruise. Brousseau is one of the relatives of David Miscavige. He's not a blood relative, but he was tied to the family and apparently worked on a lot of special projects for Tom Cruise. So ironically, both Miscavige and FBI wanted him really badly, but for different reasons. Miscavige wanted him to be taken back to Scientology because he might say something about Tom Cruise. So he was a big liability. And simultaneously, the FBI wanted him to talk about the cult and, yeah, presumably Tom Cruise. So the FBI was not as interested in the Tom Cruise angle, but Miscavige was, because if you know anything about Scientology, he is in love with Cruise. Now, most people assume he is manipulating Tom Cruise, but he goes all out. I mean, he even got a wife for Tom Cruise. They literally auditioned wives for him. This was like a long-term project. He even got his own wife, Shelley Miscavige, to try to pick out beautiful girls in Scientology just for Tom. So they are definitely friends. And that friendship was so extreme and intense, the FBI was fearful that, I don't know, Tom could do it. He might get in that plane or that helicopter and jet off with David Miscavige. And I have to say, from reading Going Clear, he is a genuine fanatic. He is totally into it. He is a full-blown propaganda guy. He wasn't all the time. Like, Tom joined Scientology very early on. So it's kind of a depressing story of what could have happened. They might have been able to shut down Scientology. We'll never know. But they pulled the plug on the case. And during the Obama and Trump years, nothing has really happened. So hopefully the FBI is still investigating. But again, they were given advice by Brousseau and Rinder and others that even a full frontal attack might not work because they could, quote, liberate the people, but they're so brainwashed. They'd be like, no, we're fine. We're good. But you're slaves. But, oh, no, yeah, but Tom and David, they're helping the planet. So, yeah, it's very depressing. We'll never know if maybe Brousseau and Rinder miscalculated. There's a lot of controversies with Rinder, especially. So, him advising them not to attack, but giving testimony seems very weird and cynical. But there we are. It's the great what if of all time. What if the FBI almost raided Scientology, but there they go. They were worried about Tom Cruise and the Tom Cruise factor. It's shocking, but it's true.